In the council room, surrounded by the strongest Force users in the galaxy, familiar faces like Mace, Yoda, Plo Koon, and Qui-Gon.
A premonition has come to me,
said Mace.
The Chosen One has arrived.
Indeed, communicating the Force has been.
Qui-Gon, bring Obi-Wan with you. Find where the Chosen One is.
Qui-Gon nods.
Yes, Darth Windu.
The Sith Council all grins in McKeeve.
All hail the dark side.
In this scenario, all Jedis are Sith, all Siths are Jedi. Will that change the fate of the galaxy? What will the little Anakin choose? Stay tuned for this episode of A Certain Point of View. Before we begin, I want to tell you about this episode's sponsor, Fantasy Sabers. Let me tell you, it is a dream for me to own my own lightsabers. Fantasy Saber makes quality lightsaber with customizable parts that really make me feel like a Jedi, or Sith if I feel a bit naughty that day. But nonetheless, they are one of the best sabers you can find in the market out there. If you're into cosplaying, they have high-quality replicas, and if you just want to mess around with your buddies, they also have their own takes in lightsabers they come up with themselves. Go check them out in the link in the description to get your own saber and live out your fantasy of being in Star Wars right now. Now, back to the story. Inside a transport ship en route to Naboo, the Sith Lord Qui-Gon Jinn and his dark apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi prepare for their mission, their shadowy robes a stark contrast to the ideals they had once held dear. Qui-Gon peered through the viewport, contemplative. He had been sent by the new Supreme Chancellor, Valorum, a figurehead maneuvered into power by the Sith Lords who now dominated the Galactic Republic from the shadows of Coruscant. Valorum, with his gentle demeanor and pliable will, was unaware of the strings that made him dance to the tune of the dark side. Qui-Gon's thoughts were turbulent. His allegiance to the Sith was born not of conviction, but of survival. He had been ensnared by promises of peace and order through strength, but those promises had soured as he saw the true nature of power without balance. His mentor, Dooku, ever the enigmatic master, had retreated further into the shadows, leaving Qui-Gon to question their path. Beside him, Obi-Wan sat quietly, his presence both a comfort and a reminder of the path he had unwittingly set his apprentice upon. Obi-Wan had embraced the Sith teachings with an unsettling zeal, embodying the very essence of what the Sith Order celebrated: power, decisiveness, and a disturbing disregard for the moral dichotomies that plagued his master. As the ship descended into Naboo's atmosphere, Qui-Gon felt the familiar pull of the Force, albeit a force shadowed by his own doubts and fears. He adjusted his hood, shrouding his face and, metaphorically, his lingering hesitations.
Master, the Federation awaits our proposal.
Obi-Wan noted, his voice betraying no hint of the internal conflict that racked Qui-Gon. With a heavy heart, Qui-Gon replied,
Let us deal with them and see where our true duties lie.
They were met on the ground by the angular, imposing forms of Trade Federation droids, their mechanical precision a stark reminder of the order the Sith purported to uphold. The duo was escorted to a stark, opulently decorated chamber where Nute Gunray and his entourage awaited. As Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan entered the negotiation room, the weight of the galaxy seemed to press down upon Qui-Gon's shoulders. This meeting was not just a political maneuver, but a test of his own will, a gauge of his capacity to follow a dark path, or to finally confront the shadows from whatever light remained in him.
Let the negotiations begin,
Qui-Gon stated, stepping forward with Obi-Wan at his side, into the heart of a crisis that might yet redefine their destinies. The transport ship, a slate-gray dagger against the stars, docked seamlessly with the Trade Federation flagship. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, envoys of the Sith-controlled Galactic Republic, descended into the cold metal bowels of the ship. Guided through sterile corridors by silent droids, they were escorted into a stark meeting room to await Nute Gunray. Qui-Gon, tall and formidable in his black robe, stood motionless near the window, gazing at the expanse of space. Obi-Wan, his apprentice, mirrored his posture, his youthful face set in an expression of calm determination. The silence between them was one of shared purpose. Years of navigating the dark intricacies of Sith politics had honed their bond into something complex and unyielding. Suddenly, the room's communicator buzzed to life, projecting a holographic image of Supreme Chancellor Valorum. His face was grave, his voice a whisper of silk and steel.
Execute them,
he commanded Gunray, his tone devoid of hesitation.
Start the war. Purge the Sith.
Qui-Gon, catching the reflection of the transmission on the polished surface of a table, met Obi-Wan's gaze. A brief nod was all the communication needed. The betrayal was not unexpected. The dark side was as treacherous as it was powerful. As the doors sealed shut, the whir of activating droids filled the air. Qui-Gon's lightsaber hummed to life, a vibrant red that cut through the dim room. Obi-Wan's blade followed, and together they moved, a dance of deadly precision, their movements synchronized after countless battles. Droids fell in heaps, but more came. Amidst the chaos, Qui-Gon led them through a service door and down spiraling metal stairs to the hangar below. Their ship was gone, destroyed deliberately. However, they found a small scout vessel they could use to make their escape. Qui-Gon piloted the ship away from the flagship as laser fire stitched space around them. Their ship got hit, their navigation system was damaged, and a glaring red warning that they couldn't jump to safety. Wherever they would go through hyperspace was unknown. As the stars blurred into lines of light, Qui-Gon's thoughts were clear. Valorum's command confirmed that the Sith no longer served their needs, but had become a threat to their survival. Obi-Wan, sensing the shift in his master's aura, turned to face him.
What now, Master?
Qui-Gon's response was swift, his voice cold, free of remorse.
Survival, Obi-Wan.
Without hesitation, his lightsaber activated once more, the blade thrusting through Obi-Wan's midsection. Betrayal flickered briefly in Obi-Wan's eyes before fading into the void of death. Qui-Gon stared at his fallen apprentice, his face an impassive mask.
The Republic is dead to us now,
he murmured, retracting his blade. He resumed control of the ship, witnessing a desert planet below. Qui-Gon's decision was cold but calculated. He would leave Obi-Wan behind as a decoy, buying himself time and freedom from the looming threat of betrayal. With the cold efficiency of a seasoned Sith, he sabotaged the ship's communication systems and set the coordinates for a delayed descent into Tatooine's atmosphere. This would give him just enough time to escape alone in the pod, leaving Obi-Wan to face the Republic's forces. As Qui-Gon's escape pod touched down on the outskirts of Mos Espa, he stepped out into the sweltering heat, his cloak billowing in the arid wind. The desert suns beat down relentlessly, but his resolve did not waver. He needed to blend in, to disappear among the throngs of the city, and find a quick passage off this forsaken planet. His journey led him to a small, cluttered shop in the heart of the city, managed by a wary Toydarian.
What brings you here, stranger?
The Toydarian asked, eyeing Qui-Gon suspiciously.
I need transport off Tatooine.
Qui-Gon replied, his voice low and even. He wanted no attention drawn to himself more than necessary. The Toydarian fluttered his wings, hovering closer.
I might have something, but it'll cost you more than Republic credits.
When Qui-Gon offered the standard currency, the Toydarian scoffed and turned away. Qui-Gon, feeling the pressure of pursuit and the need to escape, made a swift decision. His lightsaber hummed to life, and in a quick, regrettable motion, he silenced the shopkeeper forever, hiding his body amongst the scattered junk and scrap of the shop. As Qui-Gon was contemplating his next move, a young boy emerged from the back of the shop, eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity.
What will happen now?
The boy asked, his voice barely above a whisper.
You will help me find the transport you mentioned.
Qui-Gon commanded, his tone softening slightly.
And then you can leave this place.
The boy, named Anakin, revealed that he couldn't leave without his master's approval due to a transmitter chip implanted under his skin. Qui-Gon, sensing the boy's inherent force sensitivity and the potential within him, carefully deactivated the chip.
You are free now,
he told Anakin and his mother Shmi, who had joined them, wary but hopeful. With the path to the transport clear, they hurried through the streets of Mos Espa, but their escape was not to be unchallenged. A figure on a blood-finned speeder bike zoomed towards them, dismounting with a fluid grace that only a trained Force user could possess. The man ignited a double-bladed lightsaber, its green blades contrasting sharply against Qui-Gon's crimson. The duel was intense, the two combatants exchanging blows with speed and precision. Anakin and Shmi watched from the safety of the shuttle, their futures hanging in the balance. Qui-Gon, older and wearier from his earlier endeavors, found himself outmatched by the younger, more focused Zabrak Jedi. With a final powerful strike, Qui-Gon was knocked to the ground, his saber flying from his grasp. Breathing heavily, Qui-Gon looked up at the Jedi, his hands raised in a gesture of surrender.
Are you a Jedi?
He asked, seeking confirmation of the man's allegiance.
I am.
The Zabrak replied, his voice steady. Qui-Gon's next words were those of a man who had seen too much, fought too hard, and lost too often.
I have no intention of fighting anymore. I wish to help your cause,
he said sincerely, pushing his deactivated lightsaber across the sand towards the Jedi.
I was set up to die, and I seek balance in the Force once more.
The Jedi, Maul, hesitated, his saber lowering slightly as he considered Qui-Gon's words.
Prove your sincerity, and perhaps there is a path for you yet.
Together, they boarded the shuttle. Qui-Gon, now a tentative ally to the Jedi, his future uncertain, but his resolve to find redemption clear. On the desolate, windswept plains of Lothal, Qui-Gon Jinn's shuttle touched down, settling amidst a whirl of dust and uncertainty. The planet, with its rolling wilderness and stark horizons, seemed the perfect meeting point, remote, uninhabited, and away from prying eyes. Qui-Gon stepped out, his senses heightened, scanning the horizon for any sign of Maul or the other Jedi. Hours trickled by with the sun tracing its slow arc across the sky, but no one came. Qui-Gon's mind raced with possibilities. Had he been deceived? Was this another test, or worse, a trap meant to end his journey here, isolated and forgotten? His hand rested on Obi-Wan's lightsaber, a relic he had retrieved as a precaution. The weight of the weapon was familiar, yet foreign, a symbol of his past and a potential key to his survival. As the second hour waned, a speck appeared in the Lothal sky. A vehicle descended, sleek and silent, its design unfamiliar to Qui-Gon. It landed across from his shuttle, the engines humming softly as they powered down. Qui-Gon stepped forward, his grip tightening on the lightsaber. 3 figures emerged from the new craft, their strides confident and purposeful. As they approached, lightsabers in hand, the air crackled with the tension of an impending confrontation. Qui-Gon activated Obi-Wan's lightsaber, its blue blade casting a pale glow over the barren landscape.
I've come in peace.
Qui-Gon announced, his voice steady despite the rising uncertainty.
I wish to talk.
The leader of the trio, a tall figure clad in a dark robe, stopped a few paces away.
Deactivate your lightsaber, Jin, or face certain death,
He demanded, his voice resonating with authority and not entirely unfamiliar. Qui-Gon hesitated, but complied, the blue blade retracting with a hiss. Yet he did not hand over the weapon, his instincts warning him of potential deceit. The leader seemed to consider this, then slowly removed his cloak, revealing himself as Vice-Chancellor Higo Damask, the influential leader of Damask Holdings known for his political maneuvering and deep connections within the Galactic Senate. Qui-Gon's surprise deepened when another figure, previously shrouded in the background, stepped forward and removed his hood. The revelation struck Qui-Gon like a physical blow. It was Sheev Palpatine, his own apprentice, believed dead or in hiding. Palpatine's eyes met Qui-Gon's, revealing layers of deception and manipulation.
I ordered your death, Qui-Gon. We manipulated the Senate to ignite a conflict that would ultimately lead to the Sith Order's destruction.
He explained, his voice calm and devoid of remorse.
The Sith must end for the galaxy to know peace.
Qui-Gon absorbed the words, a mix of betrayal and understanding coursing through him. The politics of power had always been a double-edged sword, but this revelation reshaped his understanding of his path and purpose. Palpatine extended an offer, a chance for redemption, and a role in a new vision for the galaxy, one free of the Sith's dark influence.
Renounce your old ways and join us in building something greater,
he urged. After a moment of tense silence, Qui-Gon nodded slowly. The choice was clear, and his path was set anew. He deactivated and handed over Obi-Wan's lightsaber, symbolically shedding his past affiliations and accepting the new role offered to him. Together with Shmi and Anakin Skywalker, who had watched the exchange with wide, uncertain eyes, Qui-Gon left Lothal. Their next destination was Achto, a secluded world known for its ancient connections to the Force. There, Qui-Gon would begin his retraining, not as a Sith Lord, but as something new, a guardian of balance, tasked with forging a path that could mend the fractures within the galaxy. As the shuttle ascended, leaving the dusty plains of Lothal behind, Qui-Gon felt the weight of his past decisions lifting. Ahead lay a future fraught with challenges, but also brimming with potential. For the first time in a long while, Qui-Gon Jinn embraced the uncertainty of his journey, ready to face whatever lessons awaited on Achto. As the years stretched into a decade under the tutelage of Palpatine, now Chancellor, and the guidance of Vice-Chancellor Damask, Qui-Gon Jinn found himself redefined. The rigorous deprogramming from his Sith past was replaced with an enlightening, albeit challenging, embrace of the Jedi Code. He trained alongside Maul, learning to balance himself within the Force and connect with its more serene, life-affirming aspects. The teachings focused on the living Force, and Qui-Gon absorbed these lessons with an enthusiasm born of his newfound purpose. During this period, Damask recognized the immense potential within Anakin Skywalker. He personally undertook Anakin's training, grooming him as a beacon of the light side of the Force, with his mother Shmi's steadfast presence serving as a bulwark against any sway of the dark side. Qui-Gon watched with pride as Anakin matured, his abilities in the Force blossoming under Damask's careful mentorship. However, the galaxy remained a place of shadows and threats. The Sith Order's influence continued to permeate the galaxy, and a counter-strategy became necessary. In a pivotal meeting, Qui-Gon proposed to Palpatine the idea of swaying Dooku, his former mentor and a key figure within the Sith, to their cause. The plan was audacious, use the Sith's own resources against them by redirecting their funds to create a clone army. This army would ostensibly support the separatist movement, which Dooku would lead, creating a visible enemy for the Sith to contend with, while secretly aligning with Palpatine's vision of eradicating the Sith Order's dominance. Dooku, disillusioned by the Sith's promises and intrigued by Qui-Gon's transformation, agreed to the plan. Under his leadership, resources were diverted to create a formidable clone army. Meanwhile, Asajj Ventress, having slain her Sith Master Kai Narek, was brought under Dooku's wing, initially unaware of the deeper strategy at play. This growing alliance was further bolstered by the defection of several other high-profile Force users. The Grand Inquisitor of the Sith Guard, Pong Krell, Quinlan Vos, known for his maverick ways, and Jarek, a formidable mind in Sith lore, all joined the cause. Maul's brother, Savage Opress, and the bounty hunter Aurra Sing also allied with them, adding to the complexity and strength of this nascent order. The second turning point came when Qui-Gon, fully invested in his role as a leader within this new Jedi Order, faced a stark decision. The clone army, once a theoretical strategy, was now a tangible force, ready to be deployed. The implications of unleashing such a powerful army, created under the guise of deception and funded by the very enemy they sought to destroy, weighed heavily on him. The potential for this army to backfire, to become a tool of oppression rather than liberation, was a risk that could not be ignored. In a moment of profound introspection, Qui-Gon realized that the path they had chosen was perilously close to mirroring the manipulations they sought to eradicate. He confronted Palpatine and Dooku, challenging the moral implications of their plan.
Are we not becoming what we aim to destroy?
He questioned, his voice echoing in the silent council chamber. The tension that followed was palpable. Dooku, with his own reservations simmering beneath a calm exterior, acknowledged the risk. Palpatine, ever the strategist, argued the necessity of their actions, emphasizing the end goals over the means. Faced with a crucial decision, Qui-Gon took a stand that would set the stage for the climax of their mission. He proposed an alternative strategy that focused on transparency and rallying the galaxy against the Sith through truth and unity, rather than subterfuge and conflict. This decision would not only test the resolve of their fragile alliance, but also define the legacy of their new order. As Qui-Gon stepped out of the council chamber, his decision made, the course was set towards a climax that would see either the redemption or ruin of their grand vision. The culmination of the orchestrated Clone Wars arrived as the galaxy teetered on the brink of chaos. The planet Naboo, once a tranquil world, became the epicenter of a conflict that would define the age. The Separatist movement, under the leadership of Dooku and Asajj Ventress, declared an all-out assault, launching their campaign with a fierce attack on Naboo's capital. As the war raged, Sith librarian Jocasta Nu uncovered alarming evidence about the clone army's origins. Records revealed that Sith Master Sifo Dyas had commissioned the army, exposing the depth of deception that underpinned the conflict. The clones, now activated and fully engaged in battle, fought relentlessly across multiple fronts, embodying the strategy devised in the shadows by Palpatine and Damask. For 3 long years, the galaxy burned. Both factions, the Republic and the CIS, vied for supremacy, their battles orchestrated by figures who wielded their power from behind the curtain of war. The Sith Lords, serving as generals in the Grand Army of the Republic, led their troops against the Confederacy of Independent Systems and their unexpected allies, the Council of Neutral Systems, swayed to join the fight under Duchess Satine of Mandalore's leadership. Amidst this chaos, the remaining Jedi, now scattered and diminished, waged a quieter but no less deadly campaign. Maul and Aurra Sing, skilled in the dark arts of assassination, moved like shadows, systematically reducing the ranks of prominent Sith Lords. Their strikes were precise and deadly, claiming the lives of Ithkoth, Coleman Trebor, Oppo Rensesis, and even the revered Plo Koon, sowing fear and uncertainty among the Sith. Qui-Gon Jinn and Anakin Skywalker, having renounced their ties to the Sith and embraced their roles as agents of balance, joined this clandestine effort. Their mission was clear: target Sith operatives removed from the direct war front, ensuring no witnesses remained to recount their actions. Each operation brought them closer to undermining the very foundation of the Sith Order they once served. The climax approached as Qui-Gon and Anakin, having tracked a key Sith Lord to a remote outpost on the fringes of Separatist space, prepared for what could be their final mission. The tension was palpable, the stakes never higher. Qui-Gon, feeling the weight of his past and the hope of redemption, shared a moment of quiet reflection with Anakin before they proceeded.
This is more than just another mission, Anakin,
Qui-Gon said, his voice low, tinged with the gravity of their task.
This is our chance to ensure that no one else will suffer under the Sith's rule. We end this here and now.
Anakin nodded, the resolve in his young face a mirror of Qui-Gon's own determination. Together they approached the outpost, lightsabers at the ready. The confrontation was swift and fierce. Lightsabers clashed, illuminating the darkened chambers of the outpost with their ethereal glow. Qui-Gon and Anakin moved with purpose, driven by a need to see an end to the manipulation and suffering caused by the Sith. As the battle reached its peak, Qui-Gon found himself face to face with the Sith Lord, their blades locked in a dance of fate. With a surge of the Force, Qui-Gon pushed forward, his blade finding its mark. As the Sith Lord fell, Qui-Gon felt a momentary pang of sorrow for the path he had once walked, a stark reminder of the cost of power and ambition. As the dust settled and the echoes of battle faded, Qui-Gon and Anakin stood amidst the wreckage, their mission accomplished but their spirits heavy with the price of peace. After years of manipulation and war, the galaxy stands on the precipice of monumental change. The final battle on Coruscant, once the gleaming capital of peace and justice, now serves as the stage for the concluding act of the Clone Wars. As Palpatine feigns capture by Jedi Master Count Dooku, the remaining Sith Council members, Windu, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Tatooine, and Agen Kolar converge on the flagship to eradicate the Jedi resistance once and for all. In the flagship's grand chamber, Dooku and Asajj Ventress engage in a desperate struggle against the four Sith Lords. The air crackles with the energy of Sith lightning clashing against the humming blades of Jedi lightsabers. As the duel intensifies, Asajj manages to strike down Agen Kolar, only to fall to Ki-Adi-Mundi's blade, her life extinguished in a brutal moment that stokes the fires of battle further. Amidst the chaos, Palpatine bides his time, his eyes calculating. As Dooku wears thin against Windu's relentless attacks, Palpatine seizes his moment. Activating twin blue lightsabers, he surprises and quickly dispatches Ki-Adi-Mundi and Tatooine, his former allies, in a swift and ruthless betrayal. Windu, taken aback by Palpatine's sudden treachery, accuses him of betrayal. In response, Palpatine, with a cold sneer, denounces the Jedi as the real traitors to the galaxy. He activates his communicator and executes Order 66, declaring all-out war on the Sith Order. As the command is given, the Sith Temple on Coruscant is assaulted from space and ground, marking the beginning of its end. Leading the vanguard into the Sith Temple are Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker. The two symbols of the Reformed Jedi carve a path through the Sith defenders, including the renowned Battlemaster Sin Dralig and his temple guards. The assault on the temple is relentless, with Qui-Gon and Anakin prioritizing the elimination of the remaining Sith Council members. Yoda, Yaddle, Kit Fisto, and Shakti fall under their blades, their lives claimed in a grim but necessary act to ensure the future of the galaxy. In the climax of the battle, as the flagship trembles under the Republic Navy's bombardment, Mace Windu, realizing the impending doom of his order, makes a final desperate charge. He confronts Dooku, slaying him in a fierce duel before turning to face Palpatine. The two, locked in a deadly embrace, fatally wound each other. As they collapse, the flagship is destroyed, taking with it the last vestiges of the Sith Order's power. In the aftermath, the galaxy breathes a sigh of relief, yet the air remains heavy with the cost of victory. Qui-Gon Jinn and Anakin Skywalker stand amidst the ruins of the Sith Temple, the weight of their actions, a necessary purge, resting heavily on their shoulders. They have fought not for personal gain, but for a chance at galactic peace and justice. As the dust settles, Qui-Gon looks to Anakin, seeing not just a warrior but a promising leader who might one day help heal the galaxy. Together, they turn their eyes toward rebuilding, knowing that the path ahead is fraught with challenges but also ripe with the potential for true change. The Clone Wars, with all its manipulation and devastation, ends not just with a battle won, but with a promise of a new beginning, where the Jedi can guide the galaxy towards a brighter future, free from the shadows of the Sith. As the ashes of the final battle settled on the scarred landscape of Moraband, the galaxy breathed a collective sigh of relief. The Sith Order, once a looming shadow over every star system, was finally annihilated. On the hallowed grounds where Sith legends once walked, the last of their kind, Ram Koda and Ahsoka Tano, met their end, ensuring that the dark teachings of the Sith would threaten the galaxy no more. In the capital of the Republic on Coruscant, a new era dawned. Vice-Chancellor Higo Damask, stepping into the role left vacant by Palpatine, was sworn in as the Supreme Chancellor. His first act was to solidify the foundations of democracy that had been eroded under Sith rule. With the Sith outlawed and their influence purged from the Senate and courts, the Republic was reborn into a new age of freedom and justice. Qui-Gon Jinn, once a Jedi who had strayed into the shadows of the Sith, was now instated as the Jedi Grandmaster. Beside him stood Anakin Skywalker, appointed as the Master of the Order. Together, they embodied the principles of the Reformed Jedi Order: balance, peace, and wisdom. Under their guidance, the Jedi High Council was re-established, drawing Force sensitives from across the galaxy to train in the ways of the light side, ensuring the Jedi's future as guardians of peace. The Republic thrived under Damask's leadership, who, after discovering the secrets to eternal life as a Force ghost, ensured that the Jedi would forever hold positions of power and influence. Each successive Jedi Chancellor led with integrity, guided by the spirits of those who had come before. This new structure not only secured the Republic's future, but also created a legacy of leadership that was bound by the Force itself. However, the galaxy is vast and old, with memories that span millennia. In the shadows, remnants of the Sith's teachings persisted, biding their time. The Sith were not merely a people, but an ideology, one that thrived on ambition and the will to power. As the Republic celebrated its new era of peace, somewhere in the dark corners of the galaxy, the embers of the Sith smoldered quietly, waiting, watching, for the time to strike back against the Jedi and the Republic to reclaim the glory and power they had lost. In the twilight of this transformative period, Qui-Gon Jinn stood at the balcony of the Jedi Temple, looking out over the sprawling cityscape of Coruscant. Beside him, Anakin shared a quiet contemplation of the vastness ahead.
We have done much, but the path remains long.
Qui-Gon remarked, his voice tinged with the wisdom of his years. Anakin nodded, his eyes reflecting the lights of the city and the stars beyond.
The Sith may hide and gather, but we will be ready. The Force is with us, Master.
Qui-Gon smiled, a gesture of serene confidence.
Indeed it is, Anakin. Let us walk this path as guardians, as teachers. Let us ensure that the darkness never finds a foothold again.
As they turned back to the temple, the galaxy spun on, a tapestry of light and dark, ever dynamic, ever evolving. The story of the Jedi and the Republic continued, a saga of eternal vigilance, a testament to the enduring struggle between light and shadow.